to episode 2 of Making Money Moves. I'm Jared Sandler, joined by my friends Kylah Boyd, Ace Realtor with Texas Urban Living, and Eric Feldman, Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing and Associate Vice President of Awesome Haircuts with Longhorn Investments. And
Wow.
today, you got an added title this time, Eric. That's what happens when you step up and go to the barber. And we got a special guest joining us here with us today. Eric, you want to introduce him?
Yeah, we have Nick Heit here, and Nick is a successful borrower of ours. And Nick and I met through a mutual person in the business, and he was introduced. And from there, Nick built his super team of Longhorn and Kylah. And so, we are excited to have him here to talk about some of his experiences in working with both of us.
And the goal is simply to educate people watching this and want to help you understand the process of finding an investment property and funding an investment property purchase and all the moving parts and pieces that go into it. And please don't ever hesitate to reach out to any of us if you watch this and you have any questions. But Nick, first of all, appreciate you being with us. Thanks for taking the time today.
Absolutely. Excited to be here, guys.
So, the idea of building a team is commonly shared as a great strategy in real estate investment. I'm curious, how did you go about, and I know Eric just kind of referenced meeting through a mutual friend, but what was that process like for you of building your team to move forward in your real estate investment pursuits?
It's a lengthy process. It's not as simple as one person, myself. I got to give a lot of credit. I want to start off, my business partner, Dane Johnson. I have a team in place, and it takes a while to build that team. And so it's a long, lengthy process, like I said. And it really, for me on this business, it was probably about a year-long process, just cautiously selecting everybody on the team, is from Longhorn to Kylah to my partner and I. So that is the most critical part of our business, is making sure that the team is in place and that everybody is right and knows their roles. So that's what goes into it. And like I said, it's not a short thing. You have to be willing to dig your heels in and go through the steps, do a lot of due diligence up front with each team member to make sure you know them. And, even though you guys may do that, there are hurdles to overcome. But like I said, the process is lengthy. And for me, it took me about a year to put the team in place with the experts like yourselves that have the knowledge that have carried us to where we're at today. So that's a little bit about what goes into it. I know it's a long, lengthy process, and we could dig deeper into it, but that's
well, let's start with Kylah specifically. How did that, I guess, relationship develop, and what were some of the things you were looking for in someone to fill the role that Kylah has filled for you?
Yeah, Kylah is on her own. She sets herself apart from many agents with what she does and her approach. And truthfully, the way we located these deals down here, we would have been dead in water without her support and her knowledge and her skills. And the presentation that she puts together up front is everything. She essentially can hand these deals off to any investor on a silver platter. She runs numbers up front, presents deals to us effectively, and we can take that and act quickly to develop a new deal. And so Kylah is a critical part of this team. She's who found us these last 2 properties. So we give a lot of credit to her. Thank you, Kylah.
Yeah. So Kylah, with Nick and really just a borrower in general, what was your experience like with Nick, and maybe what are things that other borrowers can take from the experience with Nick that's allowed him to be successful, the things that maybe he understood or has learned to understand as far as the communication with you?
Well, first of all, my experience with Nick was great. I can honestly say that it's not like that with every client. So working with Nick was absolutely a pleasure. Um, but from day one, it was great. You know, I met him and his contractor out at the property. He was very, very communicative. So anytime I texted, called, emailed, he was super quick to respond. And I think anytime you're looking to pick up an investment property, the number one thing is communication, because these properties go so quickly. So you've got to be able to respond quickly if you're able to meet out at the property or if it's something that you're interested in seeing. But I would say, as far as other investors taking away something from Nick, I would say the number one thing I appreciate about him is he's just very quick to communicate, but he's also very detail oriented. So he constantly kept me in the loop on what was going on with the property, who was going to be there, when they were going to be there, when something may be done, when I could expect something to be done. You know, if they changed something in the home, they let me know. He was very quick to get me, you know, proof of work, receipts, just all of that. He was just on the ball. And that's how I work myself. I'm very detail oriented, so I really appreciate it when it's reciprocated with the other party as well.
And Nick, as far as the funding side, I mean, I know Eric deals with us all the time, takes calls, and he's got, someone in your position that is looking for funding, and they're going to go through that process you mentioned. That's not going to be overnight, and they're going to talk to a lot of different people in that space and figure out which fit is the best fit. So why did you end up working or choosing to work with Eric and working with Longhorn? Why was that the best fit, and what's your experience been like?
Hands down, that goes back to Eric, truthfully, and who Eric is. I'm a relationship guy, and Eric is too. And candidly, we connected right out the gate. Him and I see eye to eye in many different ways, and essentially that bond or that relationship partnership was crucial in this decision. He led the way. Not to mention the process that they have is super streamlined, very smooth, quick. He is one of the best in the business, or their company is one of the best in the business. But candidly, it goes back to Eric. I selected Longhorn because of Eric solely. Eric shot me straight from day one. Didn't lead me in the wrong direction. Didn't sugarcoat anything. Kept my feet on the ground in times where I was a little lost. We listed both of these properties right at the start of COVID, and without Eric's support through all this, we may not be sitting in this chair today. So I give all the credit in my decision to use Longhorn to Eric directly.
And Eric, I want to ask you about working with Nick, but first, Nick, it's interesting because I know Eric takes a lot of calls, and there are people in your position who say, I just want the best numbers. I'm just looking for the best numbers. And they're going to simply look at it, in a very objective manner, and they're not going to take that relationship part into account. And I think that, Eric will tell you that's a big part of what Longhorn offers, is that relationship and the communication. Why is the relationship part valuable to the point where maybe if you find a lender that, is going to offer a percent interest less, or, just barely less, but, isn't maybe going to offer that same relationship? Why is that more valuable?
It's the control over the situation. Eric is not responsible for knowing my numbers. And so, with his knowledge and in the process, him able to keep control over me and my business partner in these properties is really what helped us. The numbers, we had to come with the numbers, and we had to be prepared. I mean, we bought safe investments. We didn't buy home runs. We weren't looking for that. And really, Eric kind of guided us on that a little bit too. So, it really is a very lengthy answer. You know, although Eric is, you know, very numbers driven, I mean, their business is built on the numbers in the safe, you know, um, you know, the stability of each deal and each property and the numbers. And they base each approval on those. But I had to come with the numbers. And so Eric saw that we were buying a safe investment. You know, I wasn't shooting for the stars. You know, I might have underbid on some of the capital items, but bottom line, you know, Eric himself kept my feet on the ground in times where maybe my numbers were a little bit off at times. He questioned those when I had issues. And really, it's you know, the numbers are important, but him able to keep control and over the situation from start to finish, and really be there to answer the phone every single step of the way quickly, is why that's so important.
Eric, you know, as far as, you know, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Kylah about sharing from your point of view, what's made Nick in his pursuit successful. So, you know, as you've dealt with a ton of people that have been in Nick's position wanting to pursue this and pursue it successfully, what's that relationship been like on your end through your point of view?
Yeah, you know, and I'm gonna take a step back. I actually I don't remember if Nick remembers this, but when we first met, Nick's like, you know, I'm trying to get into this. I'm serious about it. I have a background, I think, in construction and contracting, so I have a good element I know. He's like, but I don't know if people are taking me seriously because it's, you know, maybe my first deal. He's like, lenders aren't answering my calls. They're not coming back to me. And so it was just basic, you know, to make a football analogy, basic, you know, blocking and tackling that I think had us get together. That we, you know, he's like, I want to call you and I want to talk about a deal. I want you to be honest with me on, does this deal make sense? You know, do you guys like this deal? Because, you know, there's a misconception that if you're a lender, you know, it's a green light, right? We want to do the deal. We want to get paid. And that's not the case. I mean, Nick knows we want him to be successful. You know, we're on the same page. We want to make sure his deal is successful, so he does another deal, you know? And I think what all of us work well together, including you, Jared, Kylah, me and Nick, is that we all answer the phone. We're going to answer on a Saturday. We're going to answer at night. I remember going over stuff with Nick on the weekends because he was serious about his deals. He's like, let's run these numbers. Will you look at this? Can you provide a term sheet? Can you look at the property and tell me if, you know, you think the ARV is what I think it is? Kylah, can you do the same thing? You know, and Kylah's great at that as well because she's got, you know, that's kind of what she focuses on is these investors. And so I think we're all on the same page as, you know, each borrower client is very valuable. It didn't matter to me that he was a first-time investor. That's the best kind because we can be a resource to him and not just lend him money, but talk about all different facets. You know, let's look at who are you using for the contractor. Let me, you know, Nick was like, I can't find great inventory in DFW right now. And I was like, I know somebody who can find great inventory. Boom, Kylah, right? And so it was just a great partnership all the way around. And I think, you know, Nick was very complimentary to me and I appreciate that, Nick, but I think really you had all your ducks in a row and you meant business and you and Dane were ready to go. And so it made the process pretty seamless, you know?
And, you know, the C word, communication, that's been a big theme here. Kylah, I'm curious, and we, you know, full disclosure, we don't do this with Kylah just because Kylah pays us. We do this with Kylah because, you know, we send
never paid me.
Kylah and she takes care of them. I mean, it's, you know, I think Eric and I would agree that we're excited when someone wants to work with Kylah because we know that person's going to get taken care of. But we have that relationship with Kylah, and Kylah, I'm curious from your perspective, how much, I mean, you deal with, on one hand, you're dealing with someone in Nick's shoes, you're dealing with your client, our borrower, and then you're dealing with us to some degree, to make sure that the funding is there. As far as having that like streamlined communication and having everyone in the same page, how much easier does that make the process, or how does that impact the process on your end?
It makes it so much easier, not only for me, but also for the people on the other end of the deal too. You know, you've got to remember, it's not just me, it's not just you, it's not just, you know, my buyer, Nick. It's the seller and their listing agent too. It's frustrating for them when they're not getting updates, when they don't know what's going on, when they don't know if my client's going to get fully funded or not. So you really got to look at the full picture and see how everyone can be affected and impacted by that. And there is nothing that will kill a deal quicker than not being able to effectively communicate with people. If I can't get a response from, you all as the lender on a weekend or a late weeknight, which are the typical hours, most real estate agents and investors are working, that's not helping us win a multiple offer situation, or put in an offer last minute. And, if I can't get an offer from Nick on when the contractor's coming by, or hey, when this is going to be repaired or replaced, things like that, and I can't get an acceptable answer to the seller, then down the road, they're not really going to be as open to negotiating with us as we may like them to be. So it all comes down to communication. If it's not good communication, it honestly just kind of upsets the entire system and how it flows.
Now, Nick, I think one thing that I know both Kylah and Eric and even I agree upon is that you go home on a Saturday night or whatever nights and you turn on the TV and you see all these flip and flop or whatever TV shows, and it's all hunky-dory and everyone makes lots of millions of dollars and it always is perfect. But it's important, we think, to make sure that people know that that's not always the case. That doesn't mean that it's going to be the other end of the spectrum, but you're going to have some challenges along the way. So I'm curious if you wouldn't mind sharing a challenge or some of the challenges that have come up in your projects, which ended up being successful, investments, but things that you had to deal with and overcome along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll speak on, one situation on both properties that Longhorn funded and Kylah and I worked together on. One of the deals, it goes to show you that as much as you're confident that it's going to go smooth, anything can happen. For example, the first deal with Longhorn I bought, to be honest with you, I was using a general contractor that I've been using for over a decade. Somebody that I, at the time, trusted with my life. That relationship went south due to poor quality of construction. And in my wildest dreams, I never would imagine that would have taken place on this property. But we were 90% complete when this all happened. So you can imagine the gear shifting that took place to see this deal to the finish line and get this project completed. So yeah, it's not all roses and sunshine. It's real life situations. And that the solution to that, and I will give advice to everybody out here listening, is your contracts will kind of set the tone for everything. And if you don't have an adequate contract in place with these GCs or these subcontractors, you could be you could be in a world of hurt very, very quickly. And so I made that mistake, to be honest with you. It's a mistake that I made that I will never make again. I will have, the waiver of subrogation is a critical clause in these contracts, and there will be a formal contract, with each vendor going forward. So that's one example of a situation that did not work the way I had planned it. But this goes back to communication and team with Eric and Kylah and myself and Dane. We were able to reel this thing in and see it to the finish line, even though we had to fire our contractor that did 90% of the project from start to finish. So that was one issue that came up. Another one is we had one of the deals, we had some foundation questions. These properties in this black clay here or this black soil here in Texas seem to always have some foundation problems. And so, I would recommend on just about any property that you are remotely concerned with the foundation, even ones you can't see any distress, any deferred maintenance, any signs of damages, always have it checked out by either an engineer or somebody that is a professional in that part of the business to protect yourself. Get it in writing. Always have that, you know, it goes back to that contract. It's similar to that as far as the principal goes. Having that proof, backing of somebody that is a professional and expert in that part of the industry is going to go really far, and really, it's a check and balance that you must have in your back pocket. And so, you know, I know those are two different examples, but the principle of each one is the same. You always have to have a plan in place, and you always have to be able to adapt, shift gears really quickly, communicate well with your team to solve each problem that comes up. And that's kind of the two leading issues that I had on both of those projects that I worked with this team on. And we made it, guys. We made it to the end. We made it to the finish line. The numbers were good. We all made some money, thankfully, even though at one point when COVID hit, I wasn't too sure that was going to happen here, but we made it. You know, we stayed the course. We communicated well. We overcame each of these challenges that we were faced with, and I think we all did that well together, each of us on this team. And so I applaud everybody involved.
And I want to jump in real quick on Nick's made some great points. I think the key, factor a lot of times in a project is the contractor. And, Nick had done his homework, because I always tell people, vet out your contractor, do these kind of things. And he had done that. But, our fearless leader here always tells us a contractor is good until they're not, right? And so Nick, another testament to him is he is on the ground. He's looking at the work the contractor is doing. He's going every day or every other day, and he's staying on top of it. So I think it's very important that as the investor, as the borrower, that you're in the mix. You're there. You're looking at the work they're doing. We do inspections, right? So we help with that. But Nick was very, very involved, and I think that was key to pivoting and making this a successful project. And all that comes back down to the C word, communication. And he was talking to his contractor. He figured out how to get another contractor, and he communicated with Kylah the whole time to tell him, hey, here's what's going on, and hopefully we'll get done with this and we can list it. He's telling me like, hey, the loan is how long, right? And he's talking to me about what's going on with the project. And so I think it's very, very important here. We were all team players, obviously, but communication was excellent. Kylah's calling me, I'm calling Nick. We're all involved with each other here, and we want to make sure that our borrowers and our clients are happy and successful. And like Nick said, even with all the challenges in the height of a pandemic that's once in a generation, he made money, which I think is very, very impressive, and he learned along the way. And so his next deal is going to be even better. And so we're excited to do more and, communicate, guys. And we hope we can help and work with other borrowers just like Nick.
And that's what it's all about, guys, right? Is correcting those issues. When there's a problem like that, the goal is to change it and correct it, to move forward. And I think we all did that very well together. I agree.
I feel the need to just hop in and again comment on what you said previously, Nick. And nothing against you, but any investor out there looking to invest, make sure you vet your contractors. If you cut corners or your contractor's cutting corners, those buyers will notice. I dislike it when investors tell me, oh, if someone likes the property enough, they'll buy it. Not necessarily, because your buyers out there are going to always ask for the big four, your plumbing, your foundation, your roof, and your HVAC. And they're going to want proof that you have done something to that, or maybe proof that you've at least had it checked and it's good to go and it doesn't need any further work. And if you can't provide that, they're going to have their own people come out there to do that. And then you're entering a whole nother world of negotiations. And then you better be prepared to negotiate, because if not, someone's going to go down the road and get another home. So that's one thing I always like to tell investors: make sure that you know who's doing the work and that you've seen what work they've done in the past, because trust me, the buyers out there, they know, and they notice. And that is my one piece of advice. Just keep track of all your information. Like Nick said, get your foundation checked, at least, to have proof that, hey, you checked it and it's good to go, because that's going to save you a lot of heartache down the road.
Any final thoughts from either of you? Eric, you want to plug where you got your haircut because it looks so good, or say that?
I have a great barber. Her name is JJ. So anybody you need, she'll come to your house. Sure. You're welcome, JJ. There's a shout. But I appreciate Jared. I appreciate you leading this, and Nick, I very, very greatly appreciate you kind of talking about your experience, A to Z. And of course, Kylah, the wonderful Kylah, who will find inventory for people out there. And so, we hope we can do these talks some more, and appreciate everybody.
Kylah, quickly, and the information's been on the bottom line throughout, but how can people reach out to you if they've missed that and they want to hit you up ASAP?
Yeah, well, I plan on posting this video all over social media as usual, so people can comment directly, send me a private message. My Facebook business page, Kylah Boyd at Texas Urban Living, they can contact me there. My phone number is on there, and then I think you'll probably include my email and my phone number on this video as well. So I check all of those multiple times a day. I'm super responsive, so whatever's the best form of communication for someone else will work for me.
Eric, you want to plug any of your social media platforms, your MySpace, anything like that?
MySpace, nice. You can go to my MySpace from 1995. Jared is available to take any calls, any questions, as am I, at any time. Go to longhorninvestments.com. You can email us or call us, and we're happy to kick a deal around, talk to you about the process. We always want to be available, and so we're here to help you guys.
Nick, we really appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. And we look forward to working with you in the future. Until next time, this has been episode 2 of Making Money Moves. Hope everyone is staying healthy and being safe. We'll talk to you soon.